Say. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Good morning. So how you doing this morning?
I'm feeling good.
You feeling good?
Hot, but I'm good.
Well, I'll let you know that when you did that flyer, I'd never seen so many ladies' eyes light up. And they was trying, oh, I can't wait to that. I can't wait to he's on. I can't wait. I can't wait. So I'm looking at this right now to see uh they're gonna start chiming in any minute now. But a friend of yours told me about you, and that was Chef Kim. And I've been with Chef Kim for a little bit, interviewed her several times. And I think the first time I interviewed her, I said, are you going to grow anymore? Just messing with her because she's short and I always tease her. But she had a very unique story. And so then one day we were talking. He said, Ron, I got this trainer named Kevin. I need to have him on your show because he's real good at what he do and everything. And I said, okay. I said, give me his number. So I called you and we set up everything. So now you're here. Now, for the audience out there that don't know what a trainer is, what exactly do you do when a person come up and tell you, hey, I need to lose weight, I need to buff up, I need to do this, I need to do that? What's the first thing you go through when they come to you? Do you have a form for them to fill out or what?
Essentially, I do a consultation with them, and it consists of first wanting to know what their goals are, and then from there, giving them an abridged version of how that transformation is going to take place. Over 90% of it for any and everybody, me included, is going to be through eating, like what you eat, how much quantity, all that. So I give them the breakdown on why that matters and how that's going to affect them. And then I give them an abridged version of how like exercise, build a muscle, things like that, how that's going to affect them too. And from there, I'll put them through a mini training session, just to give them a feel for my style. And, if they're on board with it, we go from there. I get a program lined up for them and
So let's say their goal is they want to lose 30 pounds. And we know that don't happen overnight because it took all them years to put them pounds on. A lot of people got a mixed exception. I'll go exercise for a couple weeks and I lose that weight. It doesn't work like that.
right.
So realistically, when somebody comes and say they want to lose 30 pounds and they have you as your trainer and everything, I'm glad you said you look at their eating habits and what they eat and all that, because it has a lot to do with it.
Big time.
So their goal is, I want to lose this in 6 months. Is that reality for them to lose that in 6 months?
Absolutely. It's reality as long as their activity level and eating is on point, but mainly eating. Because you've seen people who they're active all the time, work out like 5 days a week, but they look the same week to week to week. It's like they plateau, they haven't lost any weight. It's like, what's the difference? I'm doing it. And really that has to come down to the quantity of how much they're eating. Not necessarily what they're eating, but the quantity. Because really you can eat whatever you want and still lose weight as long as it's within a certain amount. So the slang for that basically is called macros, which is just slang for your calories, protein, carbs, and fat, like how much of that you're getting daily. The quantity of that, regardless of what food source you get it from, that's what affects your size and appearance.
So when you say I'm glad you said this word plateau, because some people hit that plateau, and no matter what they do, they seem like they can't get below that. It took them no time to get to that point, and like you said, then they hit this point, and that's when a lot of people get discouraged. Is when that happens. I can't lose. I'm stuck right here. So is it like you said, the quantity of what they eat and all that? Should they change up on what they're eating because your body is used to eating that same thing over and over again? Should they switch up, or what should they do?
Yes. So the part that needs to be switched up is basically their macro level. So there's apps you can use where you just plug in the food you eat and it'll automatically add all that stuff up for you. The one I like to use is MyFitnessPal. It's free to download, but there's plenty others. But essentially, your body gets used to whatever you do over time. So you can adjust your eating pattern, your macros to this level. If you're like that for a while, or you're trimming down, so forth, or you're growing, if you're trying to bulk either.
Yeah.
And then eventually your body's going to get used to that and be like, oh, this is the new norm. Okay. And then it's just going to chill there. And then from there, you got to adjust your macros again. If you're trying to bulk, you're going to go up. If you're trying to cut, you're going to go down. But essentially, progressively, you're going to keep adjusting your macros so that way your body never plateaus. It's like right when it's fixing a plateau, bop, you changed it again. Now it's got to cut to this or bulk to that.
Okay.
Bop, you change it again. It's going to bulk to this or cut to that. And you just keep progressively doing that.
Speak about that. I'm going to throw not a curveball at you, but my own personal opinion. The Spurs' #1 draft choice, Wemby, he is a beanpole. And I know he will have to buff up. So let's say a client came in and said they like a beanpole and they want to buff up. What would you have them do?
All right, so goes back to the macros again, because normally most people think I would just start being like, oh, you got to start lifting this and this and that. I mean, that plays its part, but really it's the eating. What it really comes down to is your metabolism speed. Metabolism is a short way of saying how many calories your body burns a day, because everyone has a certain amount of calories their body burns daily, regardless. If you just slept all day, Netflixed and chilled all day, your body burns a certain amount of calories, regardless. Whatever your metabolism speed is, like let's say, for example, you burn 1,800 calories a day, just normal at rest, chilling, doing nothing. If you only ate 1,800 calories a day, you would just plateau. You're not going to grow. You're not going to shrink. You're just going to stay right there because you're breaking even. If you ate more than 1,800 calories a day, then you're going to start expanding. If you ate less than 1,800 calories a day, you're going to start shrinking. But it's all centered around whatever your metabolism speed is. So like for him, for example, first I would need to know what his metabolism speed is, how many calories he's burning a day. And then based on that, in this case, if he's trying to bulk, then I can say, all right, here's what your macros need to be at.
Right.
And this is the way I like to break it down. And this is what helped the light bulb click on for me. So, because it can get confusing. You got, oh, I need so many calories. Oh, I need so much protein. And it's like, well, here's the thing. There's only 3 things that have calories, and those are protein, carbs, and fat. The way I break it down is calories affect your overall size, like big, small. Protein, carbs, and fat affect your appearance. If you're lean, you're fat, you're bloated, whole 9 yards. But one affects the other because protein, carbs, and fat is the only things that have calories. And it's like your thermostat. The thermostat affects the temperature of the room. The temperature of the room also affects the thermostat.
Yeah.
So one does affect the other, but essentially, like for this example, once I would know his metabolism speed, and depending on what size he's trying to grow to, I'd say, okay, this is how many calories you need a day. And that's going to affect your size, in this case, getting bigger. But within those calories, you need this much protein, this much carbs, and this much fat. Mm-hmm. So that way, as you're growing, you can have a certain appearance. Are you trying to look lean as you're growing? Are you trying to you're just trying to get big? You're not worried about like being shredded or nothing?
Yeah.
Because you can be big and be lean, like The Rock, Terry Crews, or somebody.
Right.
And you can be small and be fat, which is what's called skinny fat, like Bill Gates or something. Small frame, but all the markings of a fat person. So size and appearance are 2 separate things, essentially. And between calories, that's going to affect your size, protein, carbs, and fat, your appearance.
Okay. It's just like you probably heard it, but I think a few years ago, San Antonio was called the most obese city in America. And then I brought up a point. I said, have you been to the restaurants? When they serve you food, they give you a portion almost falling off the plate, different from anybody else. So I would say either you eat half of it, you other half home or stuff like that. But I think that's part of it because they believe in eating down here. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They love that good food, home cooked food and stuff. So I know what you're saying that, but I'm gonna get to a point that when you start your goal in losing weight, I was told this many years ago, just don't eat 2 big meals a day. You have to eat a little and eat in between to keep that metabolism going, especially for people my age, because our metabolism sort of just go dormant if we let it. So if we eat those type of foods or the right type of food, a little bit of time every day, that will also help the metabolism.
It will. It's not the end all be all by all means, because you can eat small meals through the day, but if your macros are more than what you want them to be, you're still going to gain weight, even though you're eating those small meals throughout the day. Um, but the way that affects your metabolism, think of your metabolism like a fire. And if you're eating those meals through the day, pop, 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 that's like throwing wood chips on the fire every so often to keep it burning, as opposed to like doing 1 or 2 meals a day. That's like just taking a big old log, bah, slamming it on the fire, smothering it, and you know what I mean? But what really, so since your metabolism is the amount of calories you burn a day, the one thing that really helps that out is how much muscle you have. And it doesn't mean you have to look like, The Rock or somebody, but it's just the ratio of muscle you have in your body to the ratio of fat, essentially. Because muscle burns a lot of calories, essentially, just to maintain it, let alone to even grow it. So the more percentage of muscle you increase in your body, that's what really speeds up your metabolism. So now your body really has to start burning more calories.
I never thought of it like that. So myself personally, what I did was I changed my lifestyle back in January. Changed my lifestyle. Doctor didn't ask me to because I'm type 2 diabetes and I know what I needed to do. And within that time period, and when April or May came around, I lost like 20 something pounds, 23 pounds by just changing my diet and everything. And he asked me, "What did you do?" I said, "I changed what I was eating. I mean, I'm eating more seafood. I'm getting the wheat stuff I'm supposed to be eating and all that." They gave me a whole thing what I should be eating. But I tell you what, some of that whole wheat um, um, spaghetti and macaroni and cheese noodles, some of that tastes like cardboard. I tell you, I found which ones that taste right now. But you talking about trial and error, some of that food, I'm not gonna lie to you, it was nasty. But I switched over and all that stuff. So I did a lifestyle change of my own because I knew the doctor was going to tell me. So I sort of like beat him to the punch for they could let me know what's going on. So somebody like me coming to you, I got type 2 diabetes and I want to lose some weight and all that stuff. What would your adjust without? I know it's a loaded question. what, what type of adjustment will you have me make? Let's say if I came in to see you.
Okay, so first we'll need to know how much weight you're trying to lose, essentially what your goals are. From there, I gotta know your metabolism speed so I can tell you exactly how many macros to eat daily. That's gonna be the key to your appearance, essentially, how much protein, carbs, and fat you're getting a day. And then from there, it's just a matter of, now, it doesn't particularly matter where you get those macros from, essentially, like a banana versus a donut. Your body's not going to be like, "Oh, carbs from a donut, and then you eat a banana. Oh, banana carbs, great." Your body's just going to be like carbs. And carbs and sugar, just consider that the same thing, because carbs break down into sugar. It's just a chain of sugar molecules just chained together. And when you eat carbs, your body just breaks it down into the individual sugars. So sugar, carbs, same thing. So your body doesn't care where you get it from. It's going to do the same thing with it regardless. Now, a banana is going to have, vitamins, minerals, all that kind of stuff in it. Donut's going to have, yeast and fillers and other things get you kind of bloated. But that aside, your body doesn't care where you're getting those carbs from. Essentially, it's going to do the same thing with it.
Right.
And so your carb levels are going to matter. as far as burning body fat. And essentially, I was also using that example to say you can eat what you want. It's the quantity that matters for the day. Water, right? That's healthy. But what if you drink, I'm exaggerating, 10 gallons of water a day, right? Or if you overwater a plant, right? Turn
Yeah.
jello, slumps over, right? So too much of even a good thing can be bad. So it's always about quantity, not necessarily just what you're eating. And in this case, you can eat essentially what you want, but it's that quantity that's going to matter to get you to the
Yeah.
size and appearance you're looking to get.
Yeah, let me see. All right, we got somebody asking. You just said about your macros and stuff, your metabolism. How do you, they ask, how you determine the speed?
Oh, okay. Good question. So actually, there's machines that do that. There's actually a supplement store here in town called Rocks. They have a body scan machine you can use. You just stand on it, hold the handles. It's going to tell you your body fat percentage, your metabolism speed. The other fancy word for your metabolism speed is going to be BMR, basal metabolic rate. So that's the name that's going to be, on that form when you use that machine. It's going to say BMR. It's not going to say metabolism speed, basically.
Yeah.
But that's the best way to check. I like their machine the best because it's super accurate. There's also scales you can buy. You stand on it, download an app, and it'll tell you all that stuff too. But those little small scales, those are pretty inaccurate. Like in my experience, it's rates your body fat percentage higher than what it should be, your metabolism speed off than what it should be. So, long story short, essentially, there's devices that can measure that.
Measure. That's new to me. Measure that. So go and get that done. Let me see. Oh, we'll say that for the end. Somebody will know how can they get in contact with you. We do that at the end.
Okay.
So, with you being a trainer, what got you in being a trainer?
So, really, for a long time, I've been into, working out, exercise, all that. I played sports in high school and so forth. So I've just like throughout the years, fitness has just been something I've been into. And a few years ago, I just decided like, I need a career change as far as what I'm doing. And I saw an ad for this personal training certification, and I was like, you know what, might as well give that a shot.
Yeah.
I did it, and I just went from there. It was a field that was kind of already up my alley. Something I did for a hobby and for fun anyway. Like I'm a total nerd with this stuff, so
I'm
it just
glad
went
you
hand in
called
hand.
yourself a nerd. I would never call you that. My wife called me a nerd too.
Man, if you heard some of my conversations, you'd be like, oh, you're a nerd for real.
Yeah, mine told me that all the time. She'll come up with something. She said, "You just a nerd, but you my nerd." I said, "Okay, yeah, I appreciate it." Did a pandemic affect you any with your business?
So actually, that's when I got started. During that time, I wasn't doing training, and I was like, you know what, I need like a career change, essentially, and that's what got me into it. So January 2021, that's when I started training, which is kind of around. I mean, the pandemic was still going on, but it was also like not as heavy like as it was
Yeah.
the year before. Because it's like a few months after I got into it is pretty much when they took off all the restrictions, no mask, all that. So to answer your question, no, but the pandemic like helped push me into this field.
I was telling somebody a while back. I said, when the pandemic is over with, those of you who want to try something new, do something new, this is the time to do it. Because everybody been locked up in the house and they want to get out and do things. I believe the most brilliant idea of the pandemic came with those big old yard signs saying happy birthday. Whoever came up with that is laughing all the way to the bank because they're still using it to this day.
I haven't seen that. Where you
Yeah, see, they a great big old, they go out there and put together happy birthday and spell your name out, great big letters on your front lawn.
really? What was the purpose of that?
Because the pandemic, you couldn't go in with birthday parties. So somebody came up with something to say, let's say happy birthday. And then they did drive-through birthdays where people actually drive through their neighborhood where they're at and give the person their present and say happy birthday without going in. So it's a lot of things that came out of that. And I was a firm believer, now's the right time to start a restaurant because some of the biggest chains were closing down. And mom and pop restaurants started popping up, which I love because they cook with season and all that stuff. You know, you go for, I'm gonna name their names. You go to Chili's, you go to Applebee's, they all buy from the same place. And it's the same food you eat. It's no different except for the name of the building. But when you go to mom and pop place, they put their, as we say, put their foot in it.
Yeah.
And it's real good. You get home good meals right there. You know, so with you coming out of that during the pandemic, it was probably a blessing for you to start your business.
Oh, for sure. And so actually at that time I was working for a gym. That's where I got my feet wet as far as like getting familiar with the trainer universe, if you will. And then towards the end of 2021, that's when I branched off and started doing my own thing solo.
So walk us through a typical day of you training somebody. They're already in there. You got everything in place. You got your regimen down, your schedule down. What is a typical day for a person to come see you and how long?
So my sessions run for an hour or longer. And I say or longer because if I'm not pressed for time and they're not pressed for time, I'm not going to be like, oh, hour's up, got to go. You know, I'm going to get them through everything.
Yeah.
But based on whatever their goals are, I'm already going to have like a system down as far as like what muscle groups I'm going to work and target and why. So, and that can vary, you know, some people want to go for the whole building muscle and cutting body fat type look. So there's something I'm gonna do specifically for that. There's an athlete I'm training right now for high school. So his workouts, I split half weightlifting, half athletic drills for his position. So it just varies depending on the person and what their particular goals are. But already have like a system in place, and depending on what we're hitting, like let's say for example, you're like, hey man, I'm trying to grow my arms or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a workout for your shoulder, your bicep, your like, you know, it's I'm gonna hit every part of your arm essentially, whatever muscles we're targeting, because no muscle is just one solid clump. There's different sections to it, all of them. And I'm gonna do something to hit each section of those. So that way you get a complete overall look. And from there, one of my clients, she says instead of exercise, it's torture size. But I have a real unique method when it comes to lifting. So most people you see there's going fast for everything. Everything I do is slow when it comes to lifting weights. So, you know, it's going to be like that with everything, which makes your muscles work harder, which feels like torture. Your body's shaking the whole time you're doing it. You can't get as many reps as you can when you go fast. You can't lift as heavy as weight as when you're going fast. But essentially, I have my own style when it comes to weightlifting. And in a nutshell, it's kind of what a session's gonna entail.
Now, what's that old saying? No pain, no gain. And also, people describe like it's burning sensation in their muscle. What is that burning? What is that when they say that?
So the burning sensation, that's lactic acid. You know, that's just something your body's releasing. And for the most part, everything your body does is really just geared towards survival. So even that lactic acid burning sensation, that's your body's way of telling you like, hey man, you know, starting to feel, you know, may want to take it easy. It's your body's way of trying to keep you from overdoing something so that you don't injure yourself or, you know, something along those lines. Essentially. So that's what it's essentially for. But it's a good thing too, because it's also letting you know if you're really stressing your muscle enough for it to grow. Because back to that whole survival thing, that's how your body grows and gets stronger. Your nervous system has to think you're in danger. That's why if you're doing something that's too easy, you're never gonna get stronger or grow from it because there's no threat level to your nervous system. But if that threat level is there, like if it's enough of it now, not overdoing it to where, like some of these videos you'll see on Instagram, people putting on crazy weight, trying to do something and they end up hurting themselves. So not that. You need stress, but up to a certain level, not too much, and definitely not too little. It's just the right amount of stress. Did I answer your question? I'm sorry.
No,
I went off on
you did about the burn. Yeah, but the other thing I want to touch base on, years ago, these athletes was taking steroids. Why, I don't know. They want to beat yourself up. That's a way of doing it. And later on in life, they have complications by taking steroids. What is your thought about that?
So I'm on the proponent of, so really when it comes to prescription drugs, over-the-counter drugs, let alone synthetic hormones, like I'm not for that kind of stuff because you don't need it. And like you said, it's going to damage your body, in the long run. And something like steroids is a performance enhancer. So I get why people and athletes take it because it's going to make you, it's going to take you up several levels than where you're at. But at the same time, you don't need that stuff. If you train smart and right, you can still achieve a certain appearance. You can still achieve a certain level of athletic performance without having all those health complications down the road because synthetic hormones and something like steroids, for example, it does things like it inflames your intestines, enlarges your heart, things like that. And that's not the stuff you want to have. You don't want this complication. When it comes to drugs, synthetic hormones, all that kind of stuff, all of them have side effects. And for something to be classified as a drug, it has to have at least one side effect. If there's no side effects, you can classify it as a supplement, but not a drug. So, yeah. So
that's just beating around this on the threshold, really. No, it's a supplement. Yeah, so I didn't know they did it like that. So that's the standard?
Yeah, and so if you're taking drugs, roids, all that kind of stuff, you're going to have side effects one way or another. Eventually, some things affect people in different ways, but especially if you take that stuff, the longer you take it over time, you're just asking for health problems down the road. And you don't know what kind of side effect, you don't get to choose what side effects you're going to have. Your body's just going to react how it's going to react.
Yeah, and your mind will too, because I watched something on TV about steroids. Some people become mean and evil, and it's a whole new different person.
Yeah, because roids are synthetic testosterone. Testosterone affects your adrenaline, and adrenaline, that's what kicks in when you're angry, when you're stressed, when you're scared, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And adrenaline makes you edgy.
Yeah, I will see that. As you were coming in today, Kevin looked at the pictures in here and stuff in the museum, and you was telling me about was it your great grandfather?
Not great, but just my grandfather.
Your grandfather, okay. Yeah. That he played football.
No, he played baseball.
Baseball.
Yeah, that's
right. Baseball. That's right.
My dad, uncles, they played football.
Okay. And you showed me a picture. He was with the Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago Giants, the Negro Leagues.
Mm-hmm.
And he played with Jackie Robinson before Jackie got picked up by the MLB.
Yeah, and he was looking at the wall right here with athletes and stuff. But you played some sports too, didn't you?
I played football in high school, and I played a couple seasons of semi-pro when I was in college.
Were you enough that you could run over people and knock them down? Well, what did you play? Running back, fullback, halfback, or what?
Yeah, so I played fullback. The few times they gave me the ball, and I don't know why it was only a few, but the few times they gave me a ball, yeah, I run over people, drag them like 9 yards. That was my thing. Like,
yeah.
tried to do that on purpose.
Earl Campbell's good at that. His thighs knocked out people want to tackle him back in the days and stuff. So, but then you went on to play semi-pro.
Mhm.
Well, where'd you play at semi-pro?
That was here. I was playing for the Warriors at the time, and this was before UTSA and all the campuses out here had a football team. So, and I was going to UTSA at the time. So,
Okay.
but yeah, I was playing for the Warriors. Played a couple seasons doing that at fullback.
Are you aware that San Antonio have a arena football team here?
Arena, no.
Yeah, it's called the Gunslingers.
Okay.
And if you have never been to a game, that's a game you need to go to because it's fast paced energy. I'm telling you, it's something else. So you may want to. The next game is July. As a shameless plug to the Gunslingers. The next game is the 22nd. But I'm just saying that because there's some athletes in there that came out of arena football that went on to play in the NFL. So it's not an NFL farm club, but they do watch and see if they want anybody from there. So when you say you play football semi-pro, basically I would consider the Gunslinger a semi-pro team because they do got some top-notch players out there. So you may want to check it out one day.
Oh, now you're saying check it out to watch or to try out?
No, to watch.
Okay, because I was going to say, I don't know about trying to.
Check it out
sure.
and all that stuff and everything. Matter of fact, I'll get a hold of some tickets that I give away, and I'll see if you want to go.
Oh, for sure.
And stuff. So that's coming up. See, we got sidetracked on that, didn't we? When he said he played football, I want to hear what he played and everything. But you mentioned that not getting off track off base, but you remember when they went to high school here, being the only black high school here in San Antonio. You just tell me about who was that
my parents.
Your parents played and that y'all couldn't play with nobody here in San Antonio. Y'all had to go where? To Houston?
Yeah, so back in the day, there was, before they started integrating schools, Wheatley was an all black school, and basically it was the only school black people could go to, and so they could only play other all black schools. And so they had to go to Houston because there was no other schools here to play. So yeah, all the games would be out of town.
I bet it was wild too. I just saying, I bet it was wild and all that stuff. So wow. That's what I'm talking about. You walk into this place, and it seemed like memories just came at you saying about, oh yeah, this, and you knew Willie Mitchell.
Yeah, so my parents actually went to school with him. They were a couple grades behind him, but my uncle is the same age, and they played together at Wheatley. But yeah, this is just real cool to see all this, history, Black history. Like, yeah, this is really awesome. I like this.
Yeah, when I have you come back and all that stuff. So we'll go ahead and get off that because we're supposed to be talking about training.
That's all good.
But your training part. So when you started training for yourself, get yourself in shape and all that stuff, was there ever a time when you said, oh, man, I can't do this anymore? Or did you just push through it?
Like when I just giving up and being like, oh, so many times. So after I stopped playing football, at that point it was kind of like, yeah, I don't really have a reason to like train so hard anymore. So then I kind of just went, and also that's when I had my children, and they were first born and stuff. So that was kind of like my priority at the time. And then, a couple years go by, you see yourself in the mirror, you're like, I need to do something about it. And then for the longest, really all through my 20s, I would work out for a few months, stop for a couple years, work out for a few months, stop for a few years. I just kept doing it over and over because I would just lose motivation, and it would be like why? And eventually, 2015, that's when I really made the decision, like, man, I gotta be consistent, and things don't have to be like this. Like, I just really got tired of what I was seeing in the mirror and the way my body felt and so forth. And so that's when I started training consistently, and I was doing like 5 days a week at the time. And I just kept it going all the way up through 2019. just kind of right before the pandemic hit
Yeah.
or so. And then I stopped again, you know, it was just unmotivated. It's kind of like, meh. And then, you know, same thing happened. It was just like, man, I need to get back into shape. And my oldest
Yeah.
brother, he started having me, you know, go for jogs with him and stuff. And just jogging a couple miles, I would be sore for like 3-4 days in a row. And like,
Wow.
I'm walking like RoboCop around the house, and they'd be like, "Man, come on with me again." It's like, man, I don't feel like it. I'm not motivated. Like, man, come on. So uh, he kept me doing that. My little sister, she wanted me to work out with her. So between both of them, that was my nudge to get back into exercising
Yeah.
consistently. And then after a few months, once I got to a point where I wasn't sore for like 3-4 days in a row, that kind of thing, I was like,
I'm glad that's the point I was gonna make. I played baseball and I was pretty good at it until I blew my knee out.
hmm,
But I remember beginning of spring training. See, we don't work out yearly like the athletes are right now. We only worked out when the season came, worked out. But the first day, you were sore. I mean, you just every bone, every muscle in your body was just sore because you haven't used them in 3 or 4 months. I used to dread coming out in the springtime, getting ready to play baseball because I knew I was going to be sore. And but I pushed through it because I knew after about a week everything would be okay. But but you're right. Starting like you did, you start and stop, and then you realize you sore. Is that same true as you haven't used those muscles in a while, and that's why you're sore?
exactly. And back to what we were talking about with lactic acid, that's also your body's way of saying, like, hey, man, don't injure me. Let me make you feel some pain so that you don't take things too far. And, you know, and at that time, too, I probably hadn't worked out for a year. So, like, me starting back, yeah, I was sore like that for at least a month and a half, 2 months. Like,
Oh,
yeah. And then once I got to the point where I wasn't sore like that, I was like, man, I don't want to have to start all over again
again,
and feel this feeling again. Because the other times in the past, when I was younger and I would start back after a long time, yeah, I'd be sore a few days, a week,
yeah.
something like that. But then but man, this last go around, it was just too long. So I was like, I better just stay active so that way I don't start all over again. And then just as I stayed active, I just um, fell back in love with
Mm,
training again. I saw my body transforming, and um, I just kept that going. And then from there, it was like, you know what? How about I show other people how they can also
right.
transform their bodies or get into shape? And then that's what
Mm.
pushed me to get into training.
Because me, I walk probably between 5 and 7 miles a day,
Hmm.
just doing things around. I'm always moving. So when I get out there and I cut the yard, my wife said, "You okay?" Yeah, I'm fine. But because I'm walking all the time, so I'm good what I'm doing. But when I started going back to the gym, which I did the same thing you did, I stopped. I need to start back again. When I was going, yeah, I was a little sore I would say the first 30 days, because this
Hmm.
body haven't been through all that in a while. Because it's amazing how when you was young and you was slim and trim and doing all that, then you get older, you see the little baggage developing down there, and you go back out there. And I'm the type of person I will not ever try to relive my high school days and get out there and try to do things I did in high school. I see people do that. They hurt themselves, all this. Oh, which brings up to this point. A lot of people, when they get back out there and work, they try to work too hard, and the first they pull is a hamstring.
Hmm.
And that's painful.
I've done that.
I pulled both of them one time. It
Wow.
was black and blue. All I was in pain for about 2 weeks. And today, I don't know what I really did to pull both of them. I just pulled them, and
And
it hurt.
and at that time, were you inactive and then you started back?
I was
Or
coming back slowly. Oh, I
okay.
know what it was. This little young, can I say that word? This young punk. Tell me, you old. I bet you can't beat me around. I said, be careful, Junior. You mess around an old dude right here. I meant to show you up. He took off. I always done this when I was in track. Always done it. I let them take off, act like they're doing something. I just daff burners in, and I'm gone. That's when I try to relive myself.
Um,
And I did. I caught him, and made it to the finish line. As soon as I made it back, I pop out. I said, "Oh man!" I started walking funny, but after that, I knew better. Don't do that again. Let the youngsters have their say, so you don't have to prove anything.
And really, because I did the same thing, similar situation, but I hadn't been conditioned like stretching any of that kind of stuff. And really, that's or based on what you told me, I think that's the biggest reason you pulled it because your hamstrings weren't flexible enough at the time from being used, stretched, and so forth. And then boom, you're trying to sprint, and then you
Yo, yeah.
and that's what happened to me. I was living in Dallas at the time. This was 2016, and I was working for a gym, but I was doing marketing. I wasn't a trainer, and so one of the things for marketing, I was like, hey, you know what? Football season's about to start. We should do like a little competition for the members, kind of like an NFL combine. We'll have a 40-yard dash run. We'll have see how many times you can bench press, all that kind of stuff. And then whatever members, whoever gets the best, we'll give them a prize or something like that. Mm-hmm. So I was like, you know what? Let me see how I do on the 40. Let's go ahead and test it out. Man, halfway through that, I don't even think I made it 20 yards. And then from there, I'm just limping the whole way. Man, and it was a few months before my hamstring got back to normal.
Yeah.
But at the time, man, I hadn't sprinted in years. Mm-hmm. Definitely wasn't stretching, but I was just thinking, oh, I got this. And
yeah. I know one thing that can make you run fast. Where I'm from, we used to have these dogs used to chase us. Well, you want to find some speed, let a dog chase you. You can't outrun a dog. Basically, you can't, but let that happen. Let me see. We got somebody right here. They are saying thank you. You broke everything down we were talking about earlier. And it's from Cheryl. She said, we need to understand that everyone is different. What amount of food that works for one may not work for the other because of the metabolism speed. That's a good point right there.
Yes, because that's another thing too. Most stuff you look at when it comes to like meal plans and so forth, these companies try and make it like one size fits all for everyone. Everyone just eat the same. And there's one person I knew who's doing a weight loss type program like that where they put you on a meal plan and so forth. They were just eating 1,100 calories a day. And her husband was also right around there, like 1,100. But his metabolism speed was like 1,600 calories. So he burns 1,600 calories a day, but he's only eating 1,100. That's super low. Like, sure, if you're trying to cut weight, right, you want less calories, but up to a certain amount because calories give you energy, and too low, you're going to be zombie mode. Right. And again, just because you're shrinking doesn't mean you're going to be like ripped and everything else. You can shrink in size and still look, loose and everything. But so his calorie level should not have been that low, like hers, but it was like that for all their clients, essentially. And it can't be one size fits all for everyone because everyone's burns a different amount of calories. And you either risk eating too low or too much. Because what if whatever calories they're giving you is more than what your metabolism burns, But yeah, it's not one size fits all when it comes to that.
And if you look at 900 calories, you could do that in one sitting.
Yeah.
I mean, even a snack, if you eat enough of that, that's 900 calories.
Yeah.
Because I look at it right now, I'm conscious now when I go and I look at things and wow, it's got a lot of sugar. I remember I was at a restaurant one time and I told them I can't eat this food. It was too salty because I never put salt on my food. I just eat it the way it is. And so they had the audacity to say, I'm going to pay for this. I'm not paying for this. It's too salty. So the manager came out and said, well, what's wrong? I said, the food's too salty. I can't eat this. Then he said, well, what do you want us to do? I said, thank you. I got up and left. It was his tone and his attitude, like everything is okay. Because that's the first thing everybody, have you ever sat down and watched people when they first get their food, you automatically put salt on it without tasting it?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the logic in that?
I feel you.
Because
I don't have that.
It's already salty, so you're going to add more salt to it. And isn't enough sodium in your body that sort of swell you up too, won't it?
Yeah. So salt absorbs water, and yeah, too much of it can make you bloated. Um, but for that example, yeah, most food, especially when you're eating out, is
Mhm.
already super salty. So um, me personally, now I've been guilty of doing that, in the past and stuff. But yeah, at this point, yeah, I'll just sample some before I start throwing salt
Yeah,
in. Especially now that I know, how salt affects the body too.
right.
And plus, I'd say my taste buds have changed from when I was younger to an extent. So it's like I don't need super heavy seasoning like all the time on
Yeah.
my food either, for it to taste good. So
Yeah, I tell you, people do that, they do that. Oh, anyway, let's see, we got something else coming in. Oh, they so relaxed right here. Huh? So I see
yeah, it is.
Vashero, Coco, Sharon, and a few others on board watching everything. See, now this would happen when I first posted your flyer. It was a good flyer. It was a great flyer you did.
Oh, thank you.
As a matter of fact, him or Sarah, I call her all type of names, chef, whatever. Because I was doing flyers, say, Ron, you need to go to this program, and use this right here. All right, I got on it. And it wasn't a learning curve, but I sat down one day, started putting out flyers left and right. And each one I was putting out, I was developing more on it as I was doing. So I asked her, who showed this flyer? You, Kevin. You know which program I'm talking about, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. I said, well, Kevin showed me this flyer. Well, tell him thank you. I said, no, he'll be in the studio and I'll tell him thank you. But it is an easy program to work with.
Yeah, for sure.
It is very easy. All the templates and stuff and everything in there, you can't go wrong. You put a template up. If you don't want that particular thing, you can pull it up, put something else in.
Right.
So, but anyway, get back to your flyer. When I post that flyer, it was automatic. Oh, I can't wait to he on the show. Oh, I can't wait to on the show. I think before this morning I came, I said Kevin's going to be in here. I may have to get him armed security because some of them even want to know, can they come in and be in the audience?
For real.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so keep on doing your posters like that, your flyers like that. It was great. So
Thank you.
what you got in store in the future for you?
As far as training goes,
Yes.
so essentially, my thing is my formula and business so forth is pretty simple. My main thing is teaching people things they can do to last them the rest of their lives because the things I teach them when it comes to lifting, eating, so forth, is not just good while they're training with me or for the time being. It's stuff they can use down the road, teach their kids and so forth. So my main thing as far as training right now is, besides, of course, expanding my clientele, is really just that education portion, um, and teaching people because it's real confusing. And at least it was for me when I was trying to research things about like burning body fat, building muscle, and so forth.
Mm.
And through the years, the things I've learned, and the things that have made sense to me as far as like how I processed it, was
Right.
like, man, this is simple, and this is how it needs to, yeah, be presented.
Yeah.
So, um, so there's the education portion on that, and other than that, on a side note, training aside, I also recently got my life insurance license, so I'm also a life insurance broker. So that's
Oh, look
another
at you.
another avenue I'm
Yeah, that's
venturing
good
in.
to have. Life insurance, and you teach people how to take care of their life.
Right.
So you got it both ways. So do you mix those two together? By the way, since you're in here, I got an insurance policy. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I was like, where?
I just threw that in there to see what's going on. So how can people get a hold of you?
So my Instagram is the best way, but also on Facebook, both of them are at Flex Symbol. So it's Flex FLEX symbol SYMBOL. They can DM me. Um, there's also a link on my Instagram page. They can fill out. It's a little questionnaire. They can get in touch with me that way. But those would be the two best ways. Or TikTok, which is same thing, but it's the in front of flex symbol. So at the flex symbol.
Okay.
But that's the best way to reach me. Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok.
Okay. All right. Well, Kevin, we appreciate you coming in the studio. Let me see. Okay. I was seeing somebody have one last remark, and they don't. So I want to say thank you for coming in to the studio today, and thank you
Thanks for having
for your memories coming back in here, looking at everything. And yeah, we get together with Mr. Williams. Else him just left, so you can tell him about that right there. So if you got any old photos or anything, he'd be more than willing to put it up here from San Antonio.
Oh, okay, for
Yeah.
sure.
I remember when I talked to Willie Mitchell a while back, he was telling me how they were in the first Super Bowl and they lost.
Yeah.
And he told his mom, I blew the game, and he said something like, "All y'all lost. It just wasn't you. All y'all lost. Y'all played like crap, basically, and all that." So when Super Bowl 4 came around, he wore it. He got that ring, and he had me. We took a picture of the ring on my finger, like I really did something. But it's a nice heavy ring. It's a beautiful ring.
Hey, no judgment. I took a picture of it too.
Oh. I think everybody has. And Willie is so humble.
Yeah.
He is so humble doing it. He's got a program called Fighting Back that he's working on, and I'm gonna get together with him and see what we could do, because he wants to do some stuff and everything. And who knows, meant to give you a call. It's gonna be a community effort. We'll get everybody in, and help the community out.
Hey, for sure.
All right.
That'd be cool. And man, thank you for having me. This was awesome. I really appreciate it. And I really like this venue, and I like what you're doing with not only bringing like some cool old school jams to San Antonio, which we need, but also just the Black history that you're promoting. This is great.
And this is the place to be right here. They call this the Denver Heights, but now we call it Downtown East.
Okay.
Because we're so close to downtown, and Mr. Williams said, let's start Downtown East, because you hear South Side, Southtown, they call it Southtown, and we just call it Downtown East here, which is the Denver Heights area. So yeah, we appreciate you coming.
Okay.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on board.
Hey, thank
Keep
you.
on doing what you're doing,
Appreciate you.
and we're gonna talk later on.